All right, this is part one of a two-part series that we're going to do. On this time, I'm going to just talk about the pond itself, some of the structure of the pond, and give you some of my tips and tricks and things I've learned kind of somewhat from the seat of the pants over the years. And then we'll do a separate video which will go through the maintenance and the backwash processes there. So with the pond, we're going to first start off with the fish. These fish here all were imported from Kodamai Koi Farm, which is a importer from Hawaii. They all were brought in 2017, 2018. They were 4 to 6 inches, and so now they're pretty much fully grown. They probably grow a little bit more each year, but not a whole awful lot. So these are very healthy fish, been in here a long time, and very stable part of this. When it comes to the fish, you also need to understand that these are just really pretty looking carp fish. They're Japanese carp. So they actually are bottom feeders. They will feed off of the rocks on the ground, and that's their natural food. Now we do feed them supplementally, but your feeding schedule can be whatever you want, because koi fish are grazers, which means they'll eat a little and then they'll stop and eat a little bit more. So throughout the whole day, they're constantly moving around and eating, and they will eat off of these rocks. So just keep in mind, you can feed them. Some people feed their koi 3-4 times a day because they enjoy that, and that's not a problem. Just remember that the more food that you put in, the less they're going to eat out of here. And so they're part of the ecosystem. They kind of keep this clean by eating and taking all the stuff out of here. As far as the pond goes, this pond was built when we built the house, so it's been here for 19 years. And so it's a very stable ecosystem right now that's going through some changes, and we'll talk about a little bit about that. Now, traditional pond, if you do some study on that, you're going to realize that most every pond builder does it the same way. They'll put a bunch of rocks in the bottom of the pond to kind of collect debris, and then they'll put submersible pumps with filter pads and things that you have to kind of wash out on a regular basis. And when I was doing that for a while, I wanted something that was a much lower maintenance for me. I want to come out and enjoy the pond. I don't want to spend all my time working on it and cleaning it. So first thing that I did in learning and researching is I took all the rocks out of the very bottom of the pond. So you'll notice there's a row of rocks around here, and that's fine. And again, the fish will graze off of those, and that also kind of protects things. But at the very bottom, it's clean, and it will stay that way. So all you see there is the black liner. It will stay that way. I also put in 2 bottom drains that are at the very end, and those will collect up. You can't even really see them, but they will collect up all of the dirt off the bottom and push it into the skimmers around the back, which we'll go look at later. And then there's 2 surface skimmers at the very end of the pond, and those collect everything off the top of the water to circulate it. Both of those go to 2 separate pumps, go around the back, and then come out the waterfall. This system will turn the water over in the pond probably 2 to 3 times an hour. So it's a very efficient system, keeps the water very clean and very clear. There's no chemicals in here. There has been no chemicals put in this pond for probably 15 years after I changed out all of these systems. The last thing to note on here is this is a 60 mil pond liner that was put in here. We had this pond put in, so I'm very familiar with how it went. Underneath the pond is what is an Echo underlay, and it kind of looks like a mesh cloth, so to speak, very heavy mesh cloth that they put down. So they dug the pond out, then they put this mesh cloth down there, which protects any kinds of rocks or any kind of movement that maybe would come up to try and poke a hole in the liner. And then there's 2 liners, 2 60 mil liners on here. These liners are typically going to last 60 to 70 years, maybe even longer since they're in the water. So you probably got a good 50 years. This pond liner, if you left it, will probably be here before after the house is gone. So that's kind of the general lay of the land. There's 2 streams that come out, and so part of the reason that these streams dump into these small little pools is so that any debris that comes through and through the waterfalls doesn't collect up into the pond. It kind of catches there. And the last thing I will say, and this is totally up to us, is once the pond was built, I put this rock formation in here and one over there. And the reason I did that is because you want these falls pooling into the pond like this. This allows oxygen to come into the water, and that's what the fish breathe. They breathe the oxygen. So you want to have this surface level movement in order to keep the best quality of water for the fish. But we like this kind of glassy look of the pond where there's not a lot of movement, a lot of waves, not a lot of bubbles and those things, which are perfectly natural for that to happen. That's all the oxygen that's going in. The fish will still breathe because there are openings down in the bottom, so this water will cascade down and then it filters down through the bottom, and the fish will be able to get their oxygen. But we have this really nice, clear, just like you see it now, really nice, clear looking pond. And the last thing we'll point out is this is a tropical water lily here. This is not your native water lily, but it has been here about 7-8 years. It's very healthy, comes back every year, produces some of the most beautiful flowers that you'll see. These water lilies don't work too well in the Greenville area because we have a little cooler winters, but this one has lasted and thrived very well. And it's in a bucket. So you can control the growth and the roots don't come out all over the place here. So we're gonna move to the back and let me go through the filter system and kind of explain some of that.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is just shut these pumps off while we're here talking so you can see them again. There's 2 switches right here that we had put in by professional electricians. Each one shuts off a different pump. And so this is pump 2, this is pump 1, this is the main pump. Now I know when you first look at this, you see all these pipes and go, my gosh, this is really complicated. The system's actually very simple. So we're just gonna walk through each one so you can kind of understand how this goes. And all of these are also labeled as well, so you can kind of, if you forget something. So let's start off with this one. There's 2 lines. These are both coming from the pond that we just talked about. This one comes from the bottom, and it says from bottom drains. This one comes from the skimmer unit, and that says from skimmers. So that's real simple. This one's coming from the top, this one's coming from the bottom. So we'll talk about this one first. As it comes in, you'll see, and I'm going to shut this valve off right now so this water stops flowing. As it comes in, it'll come straight into the pump. This pumps the water, and then there's a filter basket right here. We're going to cover this during the backwash process, but this just filters out a lot of the excess material so it doesn't come through the pump. The pump comes through and brings it out of here, and there's a label that says to pond from the bottom drain. Now this is a 2-way valve right here. So the big difference on this one is when this valve is open, it's going to go this way into the pond. I put this additional drain line in here, and it says drain pond from bottom. So if you ever got where you wanted to take all the water out of the pond, you typically want to use the pumps that are at the bottom, not the ones at the top, because they'll come out of water in just a few minutes. So you can turn this over to here, and it will drain all this water just straight out into the ditch from the bottom. So that could drain the entire pond. There shouldn't be ever any need to ever drain the entire pond, but if you ever needed to, that would be the easiest way to do it. Now, from here, it goes straight up into this pipe called a Zap Pure, and it says ultraviolet sterilizer, which is this piece right here. So this water's coming in here. It'll come straight through this pipe. It'll come from in here and go into the falls. That's simple, all it does. What this is there is a UV light that's additionally in here. It's not touching the water. It's in a separate place. If
and I haven't had to use the UV light in over a decade, so I don't use it. Got a brand new bulb in it though that's there just in case you ever need it. The purpose of a UV light is as the water is flowing through the pipe, it's clear inside of this cage, and that UV light will hit the water and instantly kill anything that's in there, any bacteria, any algae, anything. So if you really, had an issue with water quality or whatever, which you should never have, all you have to do is turn the switch on. And honestly, this is the largest UV filter they make, period. It's meant to handle a 20,000 gallon pond, which is double the size of what we have. So realistically, you turn this on overnight, and in the morning, your water will be as clear as a bell. And then you just turn it off, and you just leave this off. If you don't have any water quality issues, you just leave this alone like it is, and not worry about it. Okay, so that's the bottom drain. It's very simple. It just comes from the bottom, goes through the pump, and goes right back in. There's no filtering in there. This is just to pull stuff off of the bottom that's going to end up in the skimmer tank that you can do at a later time. Now the second line right here, and I'm going to move to this side. This is the line that's coming from the skimmers, and this is what actually filters the water. And this is part of what makes the magic happen, where you don't have to worry about filter mats and everything like that. This is very much like a swimming pool system, almost identical to that, with the addition of the fact that the pumps that you use here are designed, they're heavy duty pumps, more designed for a pond. These pumps are designed to run 7 by 24. You can turn them off if you want. If you don't want any waterfalls, you can turn one off, or turn one if you want less current or whatever. That's totally up to you. But essentially, these pumps are really designed to turn them on and you leave them on. They'll last 8 to 10 years, working 24 hours a day. They're just designed to work better that way. And they're both on 220 volt circuits. They're both hardwired straight into the switch. And there's a separate breaker in there that's a 220 breaker for those. Okay, so this water comes in this way, same type of pump. This comes up, however, and goes straight into this filter system. So inside of here are some small little beads, and on these beads they collect up algae on the surface of them, which kind of makes them almost fuzzy. And then as the water's passing through there, those beads filter that water, pull off anything that's in the water, and then cycles it back through and back into the pond. So it'll come back out this way, come through this pipe, and go straight into there. So this system here is what will filter. And again, this is the largest one you can purchase. So it's designed to easily handle a 20,000 gallon pond. Ours is about 8 to 10,000 gallons. You can also, during the backwash cycle, which we'll cover later, has an additional drain that comes here and out. So again, two basic systems. And then this is an additional blower, and again, we'll cover the use of that. This is designed really just to fluff up these beads and shake loose the extra dirt so that when you do the backwash, it comes out. Same type of system that you would have when you backwash a swimming pool. So real quick again, from the bottom drains, straight up through that pipe and into the pond, and from the top skimmers, straight up through here, through this, through the beads that are inside of here, then out of this pipe and back into the pond again. And everything is labeled exactly like it should be.